Chessa Bouche, BR Proud News, is our guest. First time on AYS. Good to have you in here. I know the weather is really crappy outside, so thank you for joining us. How has your day been so far?
It has been a day. First of all, I'm just glad I finally got the invite. I was like, someday Blake's going to be like, hey, you know what? I might need to holler at that crazy chick, Chessa. So I'm glad you finally did. The weather sucks, but I feel like tomorrow night is going to make up for it.
Well, see, it's awful because like when I go on live, you're like normally on the air,
Yep.
right? So I'm like, why am I, schedules conflict,
All
so we got a little bit earlier time today to do some stuff. So glad to have you on here. But look, tomorrow night, nobody's going to be live at 7 p.m. where we normally go live. And that's because the PMAC is going to be popping. Look, there's been a lot of buzz around Baton Rouge, even with the weather the way that it is, about this South Carolina LSU matchup, number 1 versus number 9. It's going to be pretty insane. I guess from your perspective, how do you see this going out and just how intense this is going to be on Thursday between Kim and Dawn Staley?
I think it's going to be, if it's not already, like the most highly anticipated matchup of the season. This is the game that everybody has had circled on their calendar, especially after what happened last year. LSU goes in, gets embarrassed. They were undefeated, facing an undefeated South Carolina team. A lot of hype on Super Bowl Sunday. Thought that LSU was going to put up a fight. Didn't put up much of a fight at all. Got embarrassed on national television. And it's been a game that Angel Reese and Kim Mulkey, they have talked about as they went on their national championship run. That game that kind of got away. Angel didn't play well. Only Alexis Morris and Samaya Smith, who was a true freshman at the time, those were the 2 players that actually played well. Everybody else just kind of slept through it. It was not a good look. I actually asked Kim, I said, was this a wake-up call for your team? And she's like, no, not really. And then she responded of basically like, yeah, it was. Like they were just the better team. We didn't play well. We have a lot to learn, a lot to grow from this. Luckily this year, I think with the loaded roster they have, they can put up a fight, but it's definitely going to be an absolute battle. South Carolina is just so talented and so loaded. And Dawn Staley has built a championship program there. And like Kim said today at the press conference, they just reload. And that's been the biggest difference between LSU and South Carolina. South Carolina's been here. LSU hasn't had a ton of success when it comes to ranked teams. Came out the gate, lost to Colorado. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how everything unfolds Thursday night.
You bring up an interesting point, which was going to be my second question. Look, they're dominating the teams they need to dominate, but have looked sluggish against the teams that are better than look, I don't mean this in the wrong way. Some of these teams have no business to be on the floor with, Michaela Williams and others, but they have not, in my opinion, completely put a whole game together from start to finish that we think that they can get to. Am I wrong in saying that I think that they have not fully tapped into their potential, this team, yet, or am I crazy?
No, I agree with that completely. I think you're seeing kind of the evolution of Haley Van Lith. She's finally come into her own. People don't realize it's hard to transition from a shooting guard where you're putting up an abundant amount of points, and then you go to a point guard position playing for Kim Mulkey when she wants you to play a certain way. So you have to kind of get into a different mindset. And then she misses 4 games with plantar fasciitis. So she comes back. I will say I was most impressed with her game against Arkansas. The numbers, put up 20 points, a career best that like she did earlier in the season. 6 assists, only 1 turnover. I think that's the kind of game you need to see from Haley Van Lith. But you have talented players, but they haven't played a lot of basketball together. And so I think you're seeing kind of the evolution of them learning how to play together and to have that flow, because it's all about a give and a take, and to know like, hey, Angel Reese is going to do this. I need to be here. So I think you're kind of see them playing together and learning each other as they grow. And I think this is going to be a huge test against a South Carolina team that has a lot of talent and a lot of depth. Something that LSU doesn't have is that bench.
Okay, so let's go there. Smith being out, I think, is a big deal, which makes it a tougher matchup for LSU. I think this is they say in boxing, styles make fights. This is the two opposites. I think, and maybe, Chessa, you can correct me if you think that I'm wrong here. LSU is going to have to be lights out shooting the ball tomorrow, because if they're not, I do think that they could be in a little bit of trouble. But this is a little bit of a game that I'm like, look, Michaela Williams, everybody knows who you are. They don't know who you are, though. Like, you got Simone Augustus, the statue that's outside. This is a game where she'd probably put up 35 and be like, I'm her. Do you think that this is a game where, like, look, the young freshman, this is a part of the start of your legacy. Look, she's great. She's going to be a great here no matter what happens tomorrow. She goes out there tomorrow and puts up 30 and does what she does. I think that the whole world is going to start knowing who. Look, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, they're the face of women's basketball. Michaela Williams goes and does what I think she can do tomorrow. I think we're starting to talk about a new LSU, or person at LSU that has a legacy building that is like, hey, man, Michaela Williams, she's now the superstar on LSU's campus.
Absolutely. So a little bit about my background. I had played college basketball and I played semi-pro. So I've been in women's basketball for a long time. Everybody's talking about the big matchups with Angel Reese and with their big down low. For me, it's all about guard play. I think if you can get them into foul trouble down low, then that's a good thing. But it's going to be up to your guards because you're facing Pow, who's the best three-point shooter in the country.
No doubt.
If Flau'jae Johnson can lock her up just like she did on the road in Alabama in the second half, then I think they have a good chance. But like you said, Michaela Williams, she needs to have a big day and really cement her name and, hey, I am her. I am who you need to be worried about because we can play inside out. I think that's going to be a game changer. So for me, I think guard play is going to be the key if LSU can keep up with South Carolina.
How do you see the game going? I mean, look, again, I don't think that this a win or a loss really dictates. Look, I mean, LSU baseball is an example, and basketball won national titles and didn't win the SEC. So It doesn't really matter necessarily on a national title run. How do you see this game going? How do you forecast it?
For me, everybody's talking about the crowd and the atmosphere. That's not really going to play a factor. South Carolina has a great environment. I went there last year, saw the LSU game, saw the crowd, by far one of the best environments. To me, I think it's all going to be who can be physical, who cannot get into foul trouble. Because if LSU gets into foul trouble, they don't have a ton off the bench. You're going to have to rely on Aaliyah Del Rosario, true freshman, who she's 6'5", she can body down low, but she still kind of has that deer in a headlight look. The last game against Arkansas, She was physical. She looked good. She was getting a little feisty, so I could see that side of like, okay, she's getting more comfortable, but still, you don't want her to go up against their bigs. It's not going to be a pretty picture. So for me, it's LSU needs to be smart with the basketball, not turn it over because South Carolina likes to turn it over and score from turnovers. And then if you can just, again, out-rebound them. I know that's going to be a challenge, but Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow, two beasts on the boards. If they can really get down low and go toe-to-toe, I think it's LSU's ballgame to win.
You bring up an interesting point about Del Rosario. I look, my language could be wrong here, but it's just sports speak. I think she's just so raw. Like, yeah. I see the talent, right? But, like, I know that she's going to be good, but it's like she's not – maybe not, I don't want to say fully coordinated necessarily, but maybe that, look, I know that what she can be, but it's like, man, she's just right there, you know, like, can she take that next step?
It's the speed of the game. A lot of people are like, oh, she's a true freshman. She's 6'5". She's going behind Anissa Morrow and Angel Reese. That's a lot to ask for. To me, a lot of times when she's playing, she's thinking rather than just playing.
You're right.
But she also, to me, seems like a pleaser. So she doesn't want to mess up. And if you're one of those players who's like scared of mess up, you're going to mess up because you're so worried about it. Instead, she just needs to get in there, get physical, and quit thinking and play. So if she does that, I think she's on that level and she's going to make her name known. But to me, she just got to kind of relax and not try as hard and just let the game come to her.
1,000%. It does. She's trying to play right. And sometimes you just got to be like Angel Reese and throw the ball from behind your head and try to see if HVL can.
Exactly.
Okay. Can we talk about that play for just a minute? And let me ask you this. Angel seems a little bit pissed off. It like her body language, the way that she's doing things. Like, look, I get a lot of people who are talking about her in the beginning of the season. Oh, maybe she looks a little out of shape, maybe NIL, whatever. I don't know if it's what's happened. Maybe it's just like she's, got the eye back, but it feels like the movie Rocky 3, when there is no tomorrow, like I feel like she's kind of playing a little bit like she was a year ago.
Yeah.
This team runs through her.
Yeah.
What do you think that she's got to do tomorrow to impact this game and a potential win for LSU?
I think she needs to just settle this team. I think you have a lot of new pieces that are still trying to figure out this program and to play for Kim and to play in front of a crowd like that. I guarantee you, Louisville with Haley Van Lith, they weren't playing with crowds like this with a whiteout game at the PMAC. And Issa Morrow, she wasn't seeing it like that at DePaul. So I think for Angel, she's got to be smart, can't get into foul trouble, and just lead this team, but lead it with a chip on her shoulder. Because if you go in there and try to be cocky like they did in South Carolina a year ago, it's not going to be pretty. So you just have to be smart. I think if she can just kind of control the way the team is playing and the way things are going and just play her game, I think they can go toe-to-toe with them. Again, they just have to be smart.
All right, last question I have for you. Hey, not Haley Van Lith. Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only person that doesn't care if it's a flop or not? She did. It's not like
it was a flop, bruh.
I know it was a flop, but like, why do I not care? Like, okay, she ran into somebody. Yeah. It's like everything she does. It's like, oh, did you see Jesus walking across Nazareth? Jesus walked on water. I'm like, okay, but I do think that there's a little bit of media bias here, but it was a flop. Am I crazy to be like, I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Oh no, it's a flop. Like when I first saw it from the viewpoint, I was like, dang, she got ran over. And then I saw it from up high and I was like, oh no, that was all flop. Like extended her arms and everything. Like, come on.
Mm-mm. Well, the way she sold it there at the end, I was like, okay, all right, yeah. That's the part. Don't do that. But I was just like, man, every time it's like, what if Angel Reese would have done that? That was my first thought. What if Angel would have done that? Then it would be a big deal.
They would have crucified her.
I know they would have.
I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. I think Caitlin Clark, she's a generational talent. She can shoot the basketball really well. But there's so much attention on her, but like her team is not that great. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it's just like, I don't know.
You know when I knew LSU was going to win the national title last year?
When?
Can I tell you? When the video came out and Iowa was stretching and they were singing Britney Spears and LSU was in the locker rooms, rapping Boosie, I was like, okay, it's over. All right, like it's over. You can't be doing karaoke to Britney Spears and think you're going to win a national title.
No, that's not how it works, especially in the game of basketball. Hell no. Nobody gets hyped up to Britney Spears. I love me some Britney Spears. I'm from Louisiana. That's not pregame music.
No, it's not pregame music. I need some beat. I need to spell out words in a rap song. That's what gets me crunk. Okay.
Lil Boosie.
Chessa Bouche, BR Proud News, joins us. Brian Kelly made a lot of changes to his staff. Actually, as we're talking right now, Matt House is going back to the NFL and going to Jacksonville. Surprised that all these changes or not? I mean, I was not surprised that any changes came, but I know a lot of people, when he was not fired at the end of the regular season, people were like, oh, he's going to stay, meaning Matt House. Are you surprised? And then secondly, Chessa, you've been here for a while and you've seen these things happen and coaching changes. Brian Kelly feels like he moves to his own drum here. He's not going to get rattled by anything. Yeah. I guess what's been your take on and seen on all this staff changes that Brian Kelly and this LSU football team has done?
I am all for it. I'm not surprised that Matt House got fired. I didn't think he was going to last. I was surprised that he lasted through the season, especially after the Ole Miss game, giving up a historic amount of total yards. I was just like, holy moly, how did you even get back on the plane? Like, what? And so for me, I'm not surprised. I like that Brian Kelly, he knows what he wants and he goes after what he wants. If you go back to Ed Orgeron, one of his biggest downfalls, he did not know what he wanted. It looked like his coaching staff looked like he just swiped right on Tinder the entire time. Like he just see what works. And so for me to get somebody in here like Brian Kelly, who knows what he wants, goes after what he wants, and has a game plan, and he's meticulous, I appreciate that. I like that he's not scared to make changes. I like that he's quick to figure out what guy he wants in here, and they're going to pay him. And so for me, I'm all about it. I trust Brian Kelly. I think he's made the right decisions. I think Matt House was a bust, but let's be honest, it's kind of a gamble when you hire guys that are from college that are in the pros and come back. It's a different game between college and pros. So he made a gamble. It didn't work. He's righting the ship now. I think Blake Baker is a phenomenal hire. I actually told Brian Holland when Brian Kelly came in, I said, you should keep Corey Raymond and Blake Baker. Those are the two that I would keep on my staff. And I said, running backs coach, but that's neither here nor there. But so for me, I'm not surprised that he brought Blake Baker back, and I think Corey Raymond needed to come back. I think he helped build DBU, the godfather of DBU. So I think it was the right move. I'm glad something needed to change. And again, Brian Kelly wasn't scared to, say, hey, you're right. This is on me. I'm going to make it right.
What's the over-under that Ed Orgeron's on Tinder?
Oh, we all know he's on Tinder. Well, he's engaged now, so maybe not.
I mean, does that really matter?
You're very, very.
I couldn't stop thinking about it. You said it's like Ed Orgeron swiping on Tinder.
Really was, though.
He kind of is.
It was like all over the place. I was like, bro, like you don't even know. You hired Jake Peets, who has never even called an offense.
Yeah.
Like, what we doing, my guy? Yeah, it was terrible. You had Matt Johnson over there asking for the calls on the field. Like, that's a problem.
Rolling him out to the opposite side that he throws. I mean, I get it. He's a left-handed quarterback, but I mean, come on. Yeah. And look, I think, Chessa, that we just haven't experienced somebody that's been in these situations before and doesn't overreact. So as LSU fans, we're just kind of like, oh, what's going on? Like, we're missing. And I'm like, no, this is how normal programs work. You know, like we look, Ed was Ed and less was less. Okay. So we kind of freak out. We don't know what normalcy looks like. It's like, I tell my wife this all the time. It's like, look, when I go to, your side of the family, things are calm, and then I'm Italian. And so when people are yelling, you're like, what's going on? And I'm like, no, this is pretty normal. Like everybody's supposed to be yelling. And she goes, no, they're not. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I do think that you're right there. I do think that, look, good on Brian Kelly for swallowing his pride a little bit and bringing dudes back, Baker, Raymond, etc. I don't think they're done bringing people back, but that's neither here nor there. But we'll see as it goes. One final question for you: did you see this thing today that Jay Johnson had a for sale sign in his yard?
I heard about it. Yeah,
Cokie Riley was at reported something like he was at the Chamber of Commerce. I don't even remember where he was at. But that after they blew a 9-run lead, that he had a for sale sign in his yard.
Did you see that? Yes, I'm not surprised 100%. Like, especially LSU baseball, and in his second year, like, everybody was already talking about being on the hot seat. Like, so we get it. And baseball and football are probably top tier, like, just want to run off a cliff fans. And so I'm not surprised, but I liked the rebuttal that Jay was like, I should have kept it after we won the national championship, and then used the Ring doorbell to find out who did it. I was like, bruh, that would have been top tier, like, trolling. He should have done it. He dropped the ball for that.
He did, but it's funny because, like, after that game against Mississippi State, there were a lot of people upset, and then all of a sudden you win a national title. It's going to be a good year. I don't know if they repeat, but I think it's going to be a great year for baseball.
I think so too. I'm excited. We have media day on Friday, and I'm like, let's get out to the box now. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Chessa Bouche like Bobby on her Twitter account or X account. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Thank you, Chessa, for joining us. Tell everybody where they can catch all your stuff.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter for Chessa Bouche, and then Facebook, we have Chessa Bouche Sports, and on Instagram, Chessa Bouche. So I like to keep it simple. Just keep it Chessa Bouche all around.
Let me ask you one final question. When you go around and you drive around with people and you interview them, you ever go get breakfast or is it just like an interview in the car?
I've gone to Cane's twice with Sid Edwards, and he's amazing. Yes. So he'll buy me food. But everybody else has been stingy. I need to, like, from now on, I need to be like, so we're going to go eat and, like, put them on the spot. So I think if I do that, then they will take me to get food. So
Okay, well, if you do it with us, we're going to the Blue Store. Okay, Miss Anita every Tuesday. Okay, red beans and rice, 2 chicken tenders. $7.13. That's all you need.
Red beans and rice is my absolute favorite. I've never had it at Blue Store. So
yeah, right there by BRCC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, look,
Good to know.
there's a reason.
Rice, that's my
there's a reason your boy ain't wrecking the 6-pack no more. Okay, Miss Anita, I'm just telling you, red beans and rice. All right, Chessa Bouche, BR Proud News. Thank you so much.